Welcome back, everyone. Do you know what a stack is? Okay, good. Let's assume you have a table. Then you place an item on this table. You place another item on this item. Then you place another item. Then you place another item. You place another item. This is item 1, item 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a stack. This is a stack of items. A stack means when you put items on each other, that is a stack. Is that understood? When you now put items, these items, if you want to take out from this item, which one do you take out first? That is the last one. That means a stack operation is a last in, first out, unlike a queue, which was first in, first out. It's just word and opposites. Is that understood? The same thing with queue, but just word and opposites. That is all. Let's take an example. Is a stack a memory? Is a stack an array? A stack is what? It's an operation. A queue is an operation. It's not something tangible. Is that understood? It's the way the manner at which your system operates is what we give a name. A stack is not a pen or a razor or a laptop. No, it's a process. If everyone comes in to a bus, and I said the first person must sit at the back, when the bus gets to the destination, who comes down first? The last person. That's the stack operation. Is that understood? That is the stack operation. Like your queue is used for your day-to-day life, your stack is also used in day-to-day life. When you send work to your printer, it works with a queue operation. When you download items from the internet, it works with a queue operation. Because when you're downloading, it goes to a what? To a buffer, isn't it? And it's what? It sends, if you are downloading many files, everything stays to a buffer and the files downloads one by one. That is a queue operation. So it's not something tangible that you have to hold or you have to see. It is an operation. Is that understood? Likewise, your stack as well is an operation. These books or these items that are placed on each other are not the stack. They will say is a stack of items. Is that understood? It is the manner at which we put those items on each other that it becomes a stack. Is this understood, everyone? Now, let's now go back to our explanation, the one I used in the last class. This is the memory location, like I always mention. Is this an array? No, but we can implement it in an array, all right? So this is position 0, 1, index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what is the maximum capacity of this memory now? 6, isn't it? Okay, good. A queue has linear and circular. A stack does not have. It is just a stack. Is that understood? It's just a stack. Let's assume we want to add these items. 5 minus 1, 0, 4, 25, 3, 10, minus 6. Is this guy empty? How do you know it's empty? Because you can see. What you cannot see? You need what? You need pointers, isn't it? To track the positions, isn't it? So that way we need what? The edge pointer, like we have done in queue. So I will do the same thing we're doing in queue, but I will do the opposite. Is that understood? We also need the tail pointer. Actually, we don't need the tail pointer. But because you guys know how to use tail pointer, I will mention tail pointer. At the end, you will realize yourself that you don't need a tail pointer. But let me write a tail pointer and let's work with the way we know. What we did with queue, let's do the same with what? With stack. Edge pointer points to the last element in the stack. And the last element leaves what? Leaves first, isn't it? And tail pointer points to the first element. Like I told you, you may not need the tail pointer, but let's see the reason why we will not need the tail pointer. But let's use it as we would have used it. Is that understood? Now, let's draw the memory location like we used to do. Now, this is the memory location. 0, 1, 2, 3. Now, these are the values we want to add. 5 minus 1, 3, 25, 0, 2. Now, is this memory empty? Now, if it is empty, what should be the value for head pointer? Because it should point to no index, isn't it? Good. And what should be the value for tail pointer? -1 as well, right? Because both points to elements, and there are no elements in what? In this representation, isn't it? Now we want to add the first value, which is 5. What is the first thing to do? Check if what? If it is not full, so that you can add. So how do you know if it is not full? How do you know if it is not full? If the what? If head pointer is not 3. If that is, if it is 2, it is full. Is that what you are saying? So if you write if head pointer is not equal to 3, that means if head pointer is 2, it is full. If head pointer is not 3, is not full. That means if it is 2, it is full. Is less than 3 is the correct thing. Instead of not equal to 3, it should be head pointer less than 3. Does everyone understand what I just said now? So if you say not equal to 3, that means at any other point it is full. Is that understood? Good. Now, if it is less than 3, that means it is not full. Then we can add a value, isn't it? So let's add 5. If you add 5, before you add 5, what is the first thing you have to do? Because you have to add to the position of the head pointer, isn't it? So that means you must have incremented the what? The head pointer. If you don't increment the head pointer, you are not adding the value to that memory. Is that understood? You are not. So that means you have to make the head pointer to be equal to what? 0. Before you now add 5. Subsequently, we can also what? Make tail pointer to be equal to 0. So this is the first element. Tail pointer should point to the first element, isn't it? While head should point to the what? Last element. So because we have only one value, that is the reason both head and tail are pointing to that position. Is that understood? Good. Now let's add -1. What is the next thing to do? To check if it is not full first, right? It is not full. What do we now increment? Because we don't increment tail pointer. Tail pointer points to the first, isn't it? So we now increment what? Head pointer. This is tail pointer. Then we increment head pointer to be equal to what? 1, isn't it? And do what? Add your value -1. That has been added. Is that understood? So now add 3. What is the first thing to do? If it is not full. And you now do what? Increment what? Head pointer to be equal to what? 2. Isn't it? And add your value 3. Is this understood? Now, what is the next thing? You want to add what? 25. Check if it is not full. It is still not full, right? Then you now do what? Increment head pointer to be equal to 3. Isn't it? And what do you now do now? You add your 25 to the what? Position of the head pointer. Is that understood? Now, can you add 0 now? No. Why can't you add 0? Because head pointer is now 3. Is that understood? Once head pointer is 3, that means it is what? It is full. Is this understood, everyone? This guy is full, isn't it? What we have just done. Oh, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. Okay, thank you. Now let's continue with that. What we have just done is to push to the stack. So we just pushed values to the stack. So I believe everyone can write an algorithm or a function to push to a stack. So your first assignment is now to write an algorithm to push to a stack. Now the second assignment is to pop out from a stack, which is equivalent to when you dequeue from a queue. Okay, so now we pop out from the stack. So how do we do that? Check if it is empty or not, isn't it? Now, how do you check if it is empty? How do you know if it is empty? How do you know if it is not empty? If head pointer is greater than -1, then it is not empty. Do you know? What if head pointer is -1? Or head pointer less than 0 is empty, isn't it? So is head pointer less than 0? No. So that means it's not empty, right? So what do? We pop out the first element, isn't it? What is the first element, guys? What is the first element to pop out? The 25, the one that comes in last. Is that understood? The one that comes in last. And that means we are going to pop out the value at what position? At the head pointer. Is that understood? So we pop out the value at the head pointer. And when you return this value, the question may ask you to delete. Is that understood? The question may ask you to what? To delete. What is the first thing you have to do? You put this value to a variable, isn't it? Yeah. So now write that variable is equal to array head pointer, isn't it? After doing that, what's the next thing you have to do? You decrease the head pointer. Is that understood? Because you don't want it to point to this value, isn't it? What do you want it to point to? The previous value. Is that understood? Then you now delete, you now what? Head pointer will now be equal to what? 2. You decrease it. Before you now what? Delete that value. Is that understood? And that is how you continue to decrease. Until what? Head pointer is now pointing to nothing. If head pointer is pointing to 0, what does that imply? There is still a value. Is that understood? So when you now get to this point, head pointer is equal to 0. Can you still dequeue? Yes. If you now dequeue, what is the first thing to do? You decrement the head pointer, isn't it? To make it to be equal to what? -1. You now delete. Now there's no more value. Are you all following me? Now, before I take your question, what do you now think is the essence of tail pointer? Nothing. Is of no use. So actually, according to my explanation, we don't really need the tail pointer. Is that understood? Because to enqueue, we use the head pointer. To dequeue, we use the head pointer. Is that understood? So we don't really need the tail pointer. Is that understood? If you remember the last problem I did, when we delete with enqueue, we had issues, right? So why do we have issues when we delete? Now, the reason is because of the array we are using to implement. That is the reason. For a queue, 1, 2, 5, 7. For a queue, I want to do a queue. Do you know this is the head pointer, isn't it? Yeah. When I delete this value, okay, before I go to that point, what is the index? 0, 1, 2, 3. Head pointer is equal to 0. When I now dequeue, I have increased the value of head pointer to 1, isn't it? When I dequeue. If I delete, the index of this is no longer 1, it automatically becomes 0. So head pointer now is pointing to 5. So the index of this is no longer 2, it automatically becomes 1. The index of this is no longer 3, it automatically becomes 2. Is that understood? But because in my code, I have increased head pointer to be equal to what? 1. So head pointer will now be pointing to 5 instead of 2. That was how we have that issue. Like if we don't increment head pointer at all. If we don't increment head pointer at all, then we won't have this issue. Is that understood? So that was what I illustrated when I was illustrating Q the other time. So that was the reason why we have issues when we are deleting. But for stack, why won't we have issue when we delete stack? Let me now show you. For a stack, if this is, let's say 1, this, and This is the index is 0, 1, 2, 3, isn't it? Now, for a stack, I have dequeued this value, isn't it? After dequeuing, what am I going to do? I'm going to decrease head pointer, isn't it? So head pointer will be pointing to what? 2. Then I delete this. Automatically, the previous one is still 2. Then there will be no problem. Is that understood? So because we are working from the back, is the reason we don't have issue with stack. Because we are working from the front is the reason we have issue with queue. Is this understood, everyone? That's a very good question. Any other question? So your second assignment is to write a function for the queue. So you have two work to do. Write the function for a queue and the function for the queue. Is that understood? Of course, if you delete everything, you are not deleting the space, don't forget, in the memory. You are only deleting the elements from the memory. So if you are not implementing with an array and you delete everything, then you have an empty array. So you can still enqueue back to the array. It's as simple as that. Is that understood? So even though you don't delete, there is still no problem. You see the same thing. So let's assume there is a value here. If there is a value here, let's say there is a value here 10. You have dequeued this value, isn't it? Then you decrease your what? Your end pointer was initially pointing to this value. End pointer was initially 3, isn't it? When you now dequeue 10, end pointer will now be pointing to what? To 2. Did you delete this value? No, it still affects nothing. It's still the same thing. It affects nothing. End pointer is not pointing to that value. That means you can still add another value to that position. It just overwrites it, isn't it? Is that understood? Nothing is still affected. But you see some person will ask you to delete. Some person may ask you not to delete. Is that understood? So for stack, question may ask you to delete or not. For queue, question will not ask you to delete. But I don't know of future. What if questions ask you to delete in queue? That was the reason I mentioned that. Is that understood? Good. Now we have dequeued 10. Head pointer is now equal to what? 2. Can we enqueue now?
Yeah.
Why can we enqueue? Because head pointer is now less than 3. Yes, we can. Do you understand? Even if you dequeue one item, you can still enqueue. That is the reason I told you it behaves like a circular queue. Is that understood? Because for a linear queue, when you dequeue, you cannot enqueue until you dequeue everything. For a circular queue, you can enqueue and dequeue at the same time, isn't it? For a stack, you can enqueue and dequeue at the same time. Is that understood? Good. Now the question on stack. A program implements two stacks using 1D arrays. At first, when I saw this one, I thought it's only one array. But because of the plural arrays telling us there are many arrays, 2. So please, when you are reading, it's probably you might not see this S, thinking it is an array. So you have to be very careful when you read. One stack stores the name of colors. One stack stores the names of animals. The program contains the following global arrays and variables. 1D array animal to store the names of up to 20 animals. 1D array color to store the names of up to 10 colors. Animal pointer to point to the next free space. Unlike what I explained in the previous class, I said it points to the points to the last element, isn't it? And that was why I told you not to memorize any definition. So the definition has changed. And I told you definition determines what? The code you are going to write, isn't it? Mostly when you want to check if it is full or empty, and when you want to insert your element into the what? Into the stack. Understood? Initialize to 0 because that is the next free space. Color top pointer points to the next free space in the array column. Write program code to declare global array and variables. Okay, good. So now we have been asked to write. That means we can write. So program close. So that program code should be the main program, isn't it? So let me Write it as a what? As a function. We are told that we are asked to declare global array and variables. And the 1D array is a global array? Yes, is a global array. All these variables are what? Are global. So the first array is animal. So global animals. Animal. Okay, good. If we are not asked to declare global, can we actually write global? No. Most people in the test always make this mistake. Whenever there is any variable, they believe it must be global and start writing global. Or even when the question does not ask you to do that. Is that understood? Okay, good. One day array color. I also have global color. And what? Global animal top pointer. Global animal top pointer. Also what? Global. And that should be what? Color top pointer. So you have to initialize them. And the first one is what? Animal. Animal is equal to this. I have color is equal to this. Animal top pointer. Animal top pointer is equal to what? 0. And color top pointer is equal to 0. I have not declared, isn't it? So this should be an array of what? Of 20 to store what? Strings, isn't it? So an array to store 20 strings. Don't forget the data type, okay? And this is an array to store how many strings? That should be 10 strings. An array to store 10 strings. And this should be what? Integer, isn't it? Did the question say string and integer? The question never mentioned string and integer, right? But from the question, you should know it is string and integer. And that is all, isn't it? That is 3 marks. It's as simple as ABC. Let's move forward. What you're supposed to do now is to copy this post and paste in your evidence document and save. Don't continue until you do that. Most students will not do that. When they now hear 5 minutes left, they now start copying one by one and they end up not copying everything or making mistakes. If you make a mistake, you can go back and correct. Okay? Good. Question BI. Study the pseudocode function push animal. Write program code for the function push animal. So you have to read the pseudocode and write the Python equivalent. Okay? Function. This function means this is a function. And in Python, it is your what? Is your DEF. Is that understood? So in pseudocode, this is how to define function in pseudocode. Okay? So when you see this function, you write DEF. Understood? Then what is the name of the function? Push animal. Push animal. Okay? Now, push animal. After push animal, what is the next thing? What is this? This is the parameter. And this is the data type of the parameter. But you know, we don't want data type in Python, isn't it? We just write the parameter. What is parameter? Data to push, isn't it? So, push animal data to push is the parameter. Is that understood? But in pseudocode, you must have declared what should be returned, which is Boolean. But we don't do that in Python. Is that understood? So that is data type to be returned. So don't worry about that. Is that understood? So this is how to read the pseudocode and write with Python equivalent. Here, you don't have to think. Just look at the code and write an equivalent. So some people students want to do something. I've seen that in the past. When those students see this code, instead of them to write this, they believe they know it's better. They have a better code than this, then they write something different, which also works to push data. But the question, will they get the mark? No. You are asked to study this one and write this one, not to write a better one. I have seen a lot of students who believe theirs is better, and this does not make sense. That is absolutely wrong. Is that understood? Good. What is the next thing? If animal pointer is equal to 20, in pseudocode, when you are comparing, you use 1 equal to. In Python, we use double equal to.
Yeah.
Is that understood? So I have to write that if, I almost type capital letter, not capital letter, but small letter, isn't it? Just write the Python equivalent. If animal top pointer is equal to what? 20. The full column here in Python is the then you see here in pseudocode. Is that understood?
Yeah.
Then return what? False. Return false. It's very simple, isn't it? Don't forget to copy your global variable, because there global variable was not copied, isn't it? But here you have to copy your global variable. Why? It will not access it outside of the function. So was it mentioned here? Is it here? No, but your code will not run. And don't forget, you won't even lose marks if you don't do that, isn't it? But your code will not run. So don't forget. Else, okay? Animal top pointer. That is the array, isn't it? Animal as position of what? Animal top pointer is equal to what? Data to put. So in pseudocode, the equality sign is a back arrow, while the comparison is one equality sign. In Python, equality sign is one equality sign. The comparison is double equality sign. It's as simple as that. Understood? Good. Then return what? True. Return true. That's very simple. End function. Oh, animal pointer is equal to animal pointer plus 1. So I forgot that. So that will be animal top pointer plus equal to 1. And that is all. Understood? Very easy. How many marks is that? 3 marks. So this should be a bonus. Whenever you see something like this in your exam, it's always a bonus. For pseudocode syntax, you must end your functions, your statements. But in Python, we don't do that in Python. Understood? So you don't have to write, if just write the Python equivalent where is necessary. This return boolean, we don't write that in Python. Understood? Good. Now the next question. Study the pseudocode function for pop animal. Okay, good. Now study it for pop animal as well. What's the first thing? The function, which is def, right? And pop animal. Pop animal. No parameter, isn't it? Good. Now you see declare return data string. That means this variable is local, is not a global variable, because you are declaring this variable in this function. Is that understood? There is a local variable and not a global variable. But do we declare in Python? No, so don't worry about that. Is that understood? Now, if animal top pointer is equal to 0, that will be if animal top pointer is equal to 0. So I need my global variables, right? So I need to bring them back in. Don't forget. If animal top pointer is equal to 0, return what? Nothing. Return nothing. That's all. Else, return data, which is now a local variable, right? Just write it. Return data. The back arrow is equal to, right? Animal top pointer minus 1. Animal top pointer minus 1. Understood? Okay, good. Okay, good. Else, this is animal top pointer minus 1, right? Now I've written that. Now the next thing is Animal top pointer is equal to animal top pointer minus 1 again. So that is this guy. Okay, let me write it. Animal top pointer minus equal to 1. Is that correct? Okay, good. What is the next thing? Return what? Return data. So return data. It's as simple as that, guys. That's all. Very cheap. How many marks is that? 3 marks. Then the third one, the procedure read data. Then procedure is also a function in Python, isn't it? So def read data. What does it do? Reads the animal names from the file what? Animal data dot text. So when you want to read the file name, what do? You try, isn't it? With open animal data dot text. Animal is a string. Animal data dot text as file, isn't it? So the question asks us to read the animal names from the file. Use push animal to insert each of them. Is that understood? So I can write that for line in files, rather, isn't it? So line is equal to what? Line dot strip, because it contains a list of names. Then you now use push to insert into what? Onto the stack. So that means you now call the what? The push animal function. The push animal. And does it require a parameter? Yes. What is parameter? A line. Isn't it? Does it return anything? Return anything? Yes, it does. So I can write it returns a boolean. So boolean is equal to this. Isn't it? Very easy. Now after pushing, the question even says use appropriate what? Exception. And so we didn't even see that we have used it already. Is that all? That's all. Isn't it? That's all. But we are not asked to print anything if it was able to push or not, isn't it? But we are just asked to what? Use this push to insert each element in the what? In the stack, which I have done. And that is all. So let's go to except exception as error. Then I can what? I can print the error. Okay, now before I go, can I write this out of this try except? Can I take it away from here and write it out? No. Why? Because this will read each of them in the for loop. After this, only one will be pushed, not everything. Is that understood? But if it is here, it pushes them one by one in that for loop. Is that understood? Good. Okay, now the next question states the function push color performs the same action as push animal, but inserts an item into color. The function pop color performs the same action as pop animal, but removes the next item from color. Okay? Now write program code for the functions push color and pop color. So now we have to write the program code for these two functions. If you remember, in the previous question, we were only given the pseudocode for push animal and pop animal. So in this question, we have to write the same code for push color and pop color. So let's check the previous code. If you remember pop animal, we use this to insert the element into animal array, right? And to pop the element out from animal array, and we use push animal to push the data into animal array as well. So since we are writing the same thing for push color and pop color, so I don't think I need to stress myself to try writing. Let me just copy the two functions and edit the two functions since they do the same thing. Okay. So Control C. So you can come after this read data anywhere you like, just space. Now this is the tool. Now the first function is the push color. So this should be push color, and this should be pop color. Okay, now push color and pop color. Now the array we need here is the color and color top pointer instead of animal. So instead of using animal top pointer, then I use color top pointer. Okay, now color then animal top pointer, this becomes color top pointer, color top pointer. So instead of the array animal, I will use the array color. I hope you guys understand that. So now this is just about color and not animal. So let me also come here at the array color, then color top pointer. So since both functions does the same, I don't have to start writing the function on my own. I can just use the previous functions and just edit the program. So I hope this is understood. Also, if you look at the description for color, color only contains 10 strings, while animal contains 20. So while doing your editing, do not forget color only contains 10. Okay, so that implies that if color top pointer is equal to 10, then it should return false. Okay, so what does that imply? That means you can no longer push to this stack when color top pointer is 10. That means it is full. Don't forget, from the previous definition, it states that color top pointer points to the next free space, and the index of the array is 0 to 9. Okay, so when it points to 10, that means the array is filled. I hope this is understood. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. Okay, let's continue. Now, the next question. So we've written the function for push color and pop color. Okay, good. Also, I just remember something now in the previous question that we solved. We tried to write this in Python programming language, but there is a problem here in this code. This array animal was not initialized to any value, but we are appending this data to push in this position. This will not work in Python because this array animal is not initialized. So in Python, this means we are trying to change the value at every position of the index of animal top pointer, but unfortunately, this question did not initialize that array. So you have to be careful when you are solving this type of question. Although when you run the code, you will see the error when you run the code. So there is an error in the code we just wrote here. So it should not be, when you are adding to the value, it should not be animal top pointer because the array was not initialized. It should have been animal dot append. Okay, then the same thing will happen here, color dot append. But to pop, yes, you can pop if there is value. Okay, you can return the data if there is value at that color top pointer -1. Yes, you can do that. But to add, you cannot add, this return an error. So I want you guys to see the error message. So I want to correct it now. When I am done, I will run the code. Then after you see the error message, I will now come back to correct that. Okay? Okay, good. So let's move forward into the next question. Now the next question states, question V, amend the procedure read data so we have to go back to the procedure read data. This is procedure read data, okay? So that it does what? So that it also reads the color from the text file color data.txt Okay, so let's try to do that using the try except as well. So I can write it in this try except I can wrap it another one. It depends on how comfortable you are. So try um except exception as this. So let me go back to the question. It states that read colors from the text file color data.txt. So it's still the same thing. Let me just copy this code because of time. Since the same thing is done. Okay. Yeah. So instead of it says that color data.txt. So instead of animal data.txt, it will read from color data.txt according to this example. Okay. Now color data.txt. So let me write that. Color data.txt. Okay. Now the question says that uses push color to insert each color onto the stack. So it uses push color. So instead of push animal, it uses push color. So the same code, just edit. That should not take your time. Now uses appropriate exception handling. So that has been done. So I have the in the read data, I have been able to um, push onto the stack, the animal stack, and also able to push onto the color stack. Now, why am I saving to Boolean? Why am I saving to a variable? I'm saving to a variable because this function will return a value, a Boolean value. The push will return a value, whether it is true or false. Although the question did not mention anything about the push value, about the return value rather. Okay, so since the question did not mention anything about the return value, that's why I did not write any code on the return value. Probably the question may later say we should print if it was not able to push, or we should print, you understand, if it is full, then we should print something. But for now, the question never said anything about that, so I don't have to worry about that. So I hope that is well understood. Now, the next question states the procedure output item, another procedure. Okay, so let me now come down here to write that. That will be def output item. Okay, pops, it does not take any parameter. Okay, now pops the next item from both data and color. The next item from both array outputs the color and animal in one line. So that means you have to pop at the same time and output both items in one line. For example, black horse. If there is no data in color, that is, if you could not longer pop, the animal is pushed back. The animal is pushed back onto animal. If there is no data in color, so that means if you want to pop out from color and there is no color, the animal is pushed back onto animal. Then no color is output. If there is no data in animal, the color is pushed back onto color. No animal is output. Write program code for the procedure output item. So let's take a look at this. It's very simple. You have to understand because this English might be confusing if you are not careful because of the pushback, pushback, pushback. So let's be calm to understand this very well. It says pops the next item from both animal and color. So let's do that first. That's the first thing. So at first, we're going to pop only one item, isn't it? So let's go back to that pop color and pop animal. So that will be pop animal function and what? Pop color function. Okay. With both function will return something. I hope you know. It's either it returns empty or returns the data for color, and for animal, it is either it returns nothing or returns the data. So the value returned will be safe. So let me call this animal. As the value, the animal value returned. Okay, animal, and let me call this color is equal to this. Okay, so let me also copy these global variables. It's very important. Okay. Now, both animal variable and color variable as held data returned by these two functions. Okay. Now, we've satisfied that. Pops the next item from both. That has been done. Now, outputs the color and animal in one line. Don't forget that it will output the color and animal in one line if that stack is not empty. I hope you understand that. If that stack is not empty. So before it outputs, let's take a look at before it outputs both. If there is no data in color, that means if color is equal to empty, this indicates that there is no data. Can you remember when that when that stack is empty, it returns empty, isn't it? So if it is empty, what does it do? If there is no animal in color, that means if color returns an empty value, the animal is pushed back onto animal. The animal is pushed back onto animal. That means push back the animal value into the animal array. Is that understood? So that implies that then we now write this push animal animal. I hope this is understood. So you push that animal into the animal stack. Okay. Else, if color is not empty, that is, if color returns a value, if color returns no data, then you push. Okay, and output no color rather. Then after you push, then print. Print what? No color. No color. So after pushing it back, then output no color. But what if there is value in the stack, in the color stack? Then it's going to output both the color and animal in one line. So that will be print. That will print format. So what is the next thing? The color and animal in one line. Animal in one line. I hope this is understood. It outputs both the color and animal in one line. For example, black horse. So that is done. Now the next condition. The next condition now says if. So this is not if. This is an independent if statement. This is another independent if statement. If there is no data in animal, that means if animal was empty, if the value returned by this animal stack was empty, that means if animal is equal to empty, if animal was empty, it says that the color is pushed back onto color. That is the value. Take it back into the color stack. Take the color value into the color stack. That will be push color. Then color. So the color is taken back into the color stack. I hope you guys understand that. And don't forget, these two variables, they are different from these two variables. These two variables are the what? Are the array. Why these two variables are what? Are the variables that is used to store the value returned by these two pop functions. So this is capital with starting with capital letter, and this is starting with small letter. And don't forget, Python is case sensitive, so I'm allowed to do that. Okay. Now, the value color is pushed back into the color stack. Then output no animal, output no animal. So you print, oh sorry, yeah, print no animal. Okay, so else, what if animal is not, yeah, I think I've satisfied that. Let me check. Okay, yes, good. So what if animal is not empty? So it can also print what? It can also print both the color and animal in one line. Is that understood? So this is very important. So if this is empty, print this. If it is not empty, print this. If this is empty, print this. If it is not empty, print this. I hope this is understood. Okay. But according to what I just explained, if you take a look at this very well, if your mind is following me, then you will know there will be error. It first check if color is empty. What if animal was empty? It will have printed this even though animal was empty. I hope you guys notice that. It will have printed this even though animal was empty. So this is a wrong interpretation of the question. Let me repeat again. If color is empty, it prints this. If color is not empty, it prints this. If color is not empty, it has printed this. What if animal was empty? Then it does this again. So that means, according to my interpretation of the question, is wrong. That means these two are actually not independent. They are dependent on each other. So there's supposed to be an if so that both are tested. Once one is true, the other is also tested before it can print. What do I mean? This is what I mean. That means if color is empty, print no color. Then if animal is empty. At the same time, check if color is empty. If color is not empty, check if animal is empty. I hope you understand that. Then what do? You print no animal. Okay? Then else, that is if both color and animal are not empty, that is when you now print both of them on the same line. I hope this is understood. So you guys should be able to learn from my previous interpretation. My previous interpretation was wrong. After I wrote my code, I saw that it was wrong. Because when color is empty, when color is not empty, it prints both, even though animal may be empty. The right thing is to check if color is empty. If color is not empty, or there's something I'm missing here. Okay, now correct. So push color, not push animal. Okay. Well, if color is empty, push animal. If animal is empty, then you push what? You push color. Okay, push color, color. Now this is correct now. Okay, if color is empty, push the animal back to the stack. Okay, so if you push animal back to the stack, then all these two are ignored. Don't forget, it only check. This is a dependent if statement. So once this is true, others are ignored. It just wrote no color. Now, if color is not empty, it checks if animal is empty. If animal is empty, it prints no animal and ignores the others. If both color and animal are not empty, that is when this is printed. So this is the correct interpretation and the correct answer to the question. I hope this is understood. Now the next question, right, states the main program. So now we're almost at the end. The main program, GF main. Okay, the main program calls the procedure read data. Read data. It's called nothing is returned, don't forget. Outputs item for how many times? 4 times. Don't forget 4 in bold. So use a for loop. Okay. So for num in range of 4. Okay. Read data for num in range of 4. So you output items, calls output items 4 times. So that will be output item. So this has been called 4 times. It's as easy as that, and that is 1 mark. Then test your program. Okay, now let's test the program. Now let's call the main program, then run this program. When I run this program, animal top pointer not defined. Now if you take a look at, I think there is a mistake I made. I once had a main program initially. Then I am now writing another main program here, so which is wrong. Okay, so since I'm about to amend the main program, I'm not supposed to have a new main program, so that is an error from my part. Okay, So let's delete this and correct that. So back to the main program, then put it there. Okay, now correct this. So this is now the main program. So at times exam pressure may make students forget that. So I assume I'm a student working under exam pressure, so I am making the same mistake a student might make. So in case you make that mistake, you've defined your global variable and it's still saying not defined, try and check if you don't have two main programs. Okay, after doing this, then let me run the code again. So running the code again, run, then you can see there is another error. List assignment index out of range. Okay, from where? When you are trying to push the data into that position. Like I told you, the array was not initialized. So you are trying to edit or change the value at that position of an array that was not initialized. So the reason why I didn't want to correct it is so that you guys can see the error. So in case you guys see this kind of error in your exam, it will be easy for you to correct it. Okay, so this is happening at line 26. So the best thing is to go to line 26. Okay, now let me repeat again. Animal array was not initialized. So on no account can you change the value at a position, because this line of code means you are trying to change the value at the animal top pointer position, which is wrong. In other programming language, it might work, but in Python, it may not work. And according to the pseudocode is written. The pseudocode is written, that is, that code is for pseudocode. It is valid for pseudocode. It will be valid for other programming languages, but not valid for Python. So what you're supposed to do here is, instead of writing this, you are supposed to have written animal dot append. Then what will append? The data to push. Then you do the same thing for what? For push color. So instead of changing the value at the color top pointer position, it will be color dot append. Don't forget I said that earlier. Okay, so I only want to purposely make that mistake to the end so that you guys can see the results in case you make such mistake. Don't forget we are translating from pseudocode, which you might see the same thing in your exam. Okay, good. Let's run the code again. Then you click on run. Now, good. Pink hamster, blue elephant, white eagle, yellow rabbit. So which answers the question? And that is 1 mark. So I hope this is well understood. Okay, if you understand it, if you have any question, you can put your question in the comment section. Thank you for following me and thank you for watching this video. I hope you guys understand Stack and can solve any question with Stack. Thank you.